Welcome back to this already the final segment of The Price of Business. Time goes fast when you're having fun, which I always do, and I get to spend time with you on this Tuesday morning. Delighted to be able to do that. Getting an opportunity to speak to my good friend Charles Alvarez, and he is a sales consultant, marketing consultant extraordinaire. The guy who bridges the gap between the tactical and the strategic in a way that I've never seen a coach of his type do. Most are either pie in the sky, Ivy Tower, this looks good type of things, but good luck doing it in the real world, to some of the tactical guys who simply don't have the ability to explain why this type of thing actually works. Charles does both, and it's very important if you're trying to grow a business. Charles, real quickly, how do we learn more about your company?
Just go to www.cornerstonebusinessacademy.com.
Awesome. Glad to have you with us. So real quickly, why don't you take a moment and introduce our guest today?
Really excited to have Phil Tureau here. He is the president and CEO of his own recruiting firm with a twist, because he doesn't operate like most recruiting firms out there. And I'm really excited to have him on the show today because he's got a really, really great business.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the program. Good to see you, Phil.
Thank you. Very glad to be here.
Told you before, you have the same name as my brother. I won't hold that against you. And we're glad though to have you on the program. Tell us, kind of give us your elevator speech real quick.
Well, Vision Quest Consultants, we're a recruiting firm that specializes in engineers, primarily in the oil and gas business, manufacturing, upstream, midstream. We do things a little differently. We are not the resume forwarders that seems to prevail out there. That's just searching job boards and gleaning things off job boards and forwarding them to our clients. We're really the company that gets to know each client, our client companies, what's important to them, the feel of the organization, what fits in each group, beyond the technical. And then we look for that. We interview our candidates in our office, if at all possible, which about 80% are, and we get to know their career goals and what makes them tick, their family situation, and we think we bring a much higher level of match and somebody that's going to stay long term within the organization.
Interesting, very important. Sounds like particularly in any economy, but in this one, people, there's a huge cost every time you make that transition. Reducing the likelihood of that transition mitigates that cost,
without a doubt.
Yeah, Charles,
you told me a great testimonial last week when we got together about the guy who didn't quite have the necessary quote unquote technical skills, but you were able, using your proprietary process, to find a great match. Can you kind of tell us about that story?
You bet. There was a young man who was a technical person who was working for a company. He had been overseas, and not a garden spot overseas for the company. His tenure was supposed to be a year, had been there for 2. He had some good skills, but he was at least 2-3 years under what this company wanted. We interviewed him, through Skype. We talked to him a good bit. He wasn't able, obviously, to come into the office. However, we did our process with him over the phone and through Skype, and we learned a lot about the individual, as we always do. His personality, his desire, his career goals fit very well with the organization that we ended up placing him with. And when he came home for Christmas, we were actually had set up the interview with the client. They interviewed him. They'd already done so over the phone, mind you, but they interviewed him face to face, and was able not to go back overseas.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yes.
So tell me about, in an economy like this, what it sounds like is what you offer is extremely needed, but, people are so weird about their money, and they're actually kind of resistant to do what they need to do because that could be too expensive. It's kind of like the very first thing nutty business owners do is cut their marketing budget when the economy is getting bad. It's like, really? This is the time you need to increase those dollars more than ever. So how is your company message doing in this kind of weirdness?
Well, I tell you, we are definitely not for everybody. We are not for the firms that want 20 recruiters working on a position to see who happens to find the needle in the haystack. That is definitely not us. But we are not the cheapest. There are more expensive firms out there. However, I do think that our fees make our clients money. And what I mean by that, I mean that we find the person that's going to stay and add value to that organization. We find the right individual. We find them usually in a pretty timely manner. But it's such that we do not waste their time. They don't have to peruse 40 resumes. They might get 1 or 2 people for a position, but they're the right people. They're the people that are actually interested in the position, people that are technically qualified, and people that know about the organization because we've done our homework and we've let them know about it. So it fits.
Charles?
So what I find interesting is, you mentioned that you actually help people make money, and I love that. But there's also another way that you help people make money, which is you also have a way to make sure that they don't hire the wrong person. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's several-fold. First of all, our process is unique in that we do something I don't believe anybody else does out in the marketplace. We don't want our clients to have offer rejects, which is, very common. These companies cannot lose their employees, so when they get an offer elsewhere, they are apt to really try to make a counteroffer. Well, we all know that most counteroffers end in disaster. People usually aren't just leaving for money. They're leaving for other things, opportunity, environment, so forth. What we do is with our candidates, and we explain this on the very first interview with them in our office, is we bring them through the process, get feedback from interviews and so forth. And during the process, we actually require from them, once they get to this point, do they want the job? If so, what salary are they targeting, and what's their walk-away point? We actually get permission to accept an offer from our candidates, give that to our employers, and if they make an offer in that range, they have an employee. There's no negotiation.
Wow.
Now, that's not happening anywhere.
No, not at all. Not at all. All right, talking again to Charles Alvarez and also with Phil Tureau. Is that right?
Yeah, very good.
Good pronunciation. Pretty close. Vision Quest. VisionQuest.net is his company. Charles?
So tell us about, when somebody's hearing this on the radio, what is it that you want them to remember more than anything about your company, about the value that you really bring to them to make their life easier?
We deliver the right person that's not looking for the position originally. We're not just going off the job boards. We're finding the right person who wants that job, who fits in their organization. It's not just a resume. We are not a resume service. And for the candidates, we actually care about what your career goals are, what your family situation is. How does this job impact all that? You as a person. So when we tell a company about you, we're telling about you. We're not telling about your resume. So it does make a difference.
Yeah. No, there's so many people in the industry, Phil, who are just glorified order takers. And it really sounds to me that what y'all are professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a documented process in which we go through that yields results. And our people are trained every day. That's something unique also, that our employees are trained every day. We strive to be the best in the industry.
All right. So again, Phil, thanks for being with us. Vision Quest, that is visionq.net. That's visionq.net to learn more about what he is up to. Charles Alvarez, how do we get more information about you, my friend?
Just go to www.cornerstonebusinessacademy.com, and if you put your first name and email address on the right, you'll get 10 free videos where you can find at least $10,000 in revenue for the first 30 days, and your cost is Zippo.
Yeah, and I encourage people to check that out. You're crazy not to check that out. That is easy money, so you need to pursue that. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
All right, wrapping up today's show. Do want to thank you for spending time with us. Do want to remind you the show continues 24/7 at priceofbusiness.com. While you're there, like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter. Have a great rest of your day, but spend it right here